Okay, we are recording. Yes, good. Right. Okay. So, you're probably wondering why I'm in this room with this background. It's because my wife is in the kitchen at the moment doing some baking. Baking, not bacon. This is very unusual because my wife very, very rarely cooks. If I didn't cook, we'd be eating biscuits and cereal for our meals every day. She does very, very little cooking because she just doesn't enjoy it, doesn't like it. So I do it all because I do enjoy it. But we've got a nearly new sale tomorrow for the NTT, and they tend to sell cakes and bits and pieces like that. So she's doing some flapjack and some, not muffins, cupcakes, Star Wars cupcakes, which apparently have gone a bit wrong, but we might just have to send them anyway because, hey, if people are going to pay 50p for it and it goes towards the charity, then fair play. So this one that I'm pouring out is, as you would have known by seeing the titles, I'm going to try not to pour this on the carpet like the last one I did. It's called Dunglass, Dunglass 5-year-old. Now, this is what the bottle looks like if you can't see that, so that's what it looks like. And this particular bottling was apparently for the Italian market, and this is another rare one. Not quite as rare as the Ladyburn, but not far off. This is a lightly peated version from a distillery called Little Mill. Now, I haven't looked on the map yet, so I might not be able to find it exactly, but I'm going to point and say this is where the Little Mill distillery was, because it is no more. It was apparently converted from a brewery in 1772. It acquired its license in the 1820s, but there are writings that essentially say that this is one of, if not the oldest distillery in Scotland, because there are records showing a distillery in this site back in the 14th century. So it's entirely possible that the distillery itself was actually present since the 14th century. Now, a bit like Bladnoch, this has had a really, really checkered history. This has kind of been closed and opened and closed and opened, and loads of different owners and everything like that. Now, between 1825 and 1839, it was actually owned by one of the very few female owners of a distillery, a woman called Jane McGregor. And shortly after, so it was 1840, it was actually taken over by a guy whose name I didn't write down and I've completely forgotten, who apparently set up Kalila, somebody Henderson. Hubert Henderson? Robert Henderson? I can't remember. Maybe not even Henderson. It's Friday night, I'm tired. So, yes, but the guy that took it up after her was one of the guys that set up Kalila. So it's had a multitude of owners. And it was closed in 1929, then reopened in 1939. There was a chain of owners that kind of were acquired by other businesses and came through. One of them was Barton Distillers. In the 1960s to early 1970s, they then did two versions of Little Mill, where there was a lightly peated version, this, called Dunglass, and then there was a heavily peated version called Dumbeck. Now, Dumbeck is probably even harder to get hold of than Dunglass. And like I say, this one apparently was made for the Italian market. So looking at the labelling, it kind of looks a bit 60s, 70-ish. Now, it says it's a 5-year-old. Now, this miniature bottle I found on Hard to Find Whiskies for 50 quid for the miniature. I haven't found a price for the 70cl, but I'm willing to bet it's a few hundred for that, simply because of the rarity of it. So it closed in 1984, was reopened in 1989 with another set of owners. It then closed again in 1994, and 1994 was when it closed for good. It was dismantled, the stills and the equipment was taken out in 1997, and then essentially in 2004 a fire pretty much demolished the rest of it. It's now a housing estate. It's now a housing development, so it is absolutely no more. It no longer exists. It is an ex-distillery. So to find Little Mill, Dunglass, Dumbeck in any form is very, very rare indeed. So unless somebody out there happens to have a Little Mill in their possession that they can spare 2.5 CLs, I'm taking this as the Little Mill representation. But it would be fascinating to try Little Mill, because obviously this is a lightly peated version. But yes, again, this was Andrew Butler again. that provided this. He has got some incredible whiskies in his selection. He really does. And the fact that he's been willing to share this was actually half a miniature, so he had half of this and then has given me the rest for the challenge. So for him to donate this is just unbelievable. The man is a legend. He really is just, you know, beyond generous. It's ridiculous. Like quite a few people that have got in touch with me, that I've got now enough stock to get me enough samples, like I'm running a shop or something, enough samples to get me to, I think it was about 260, 270 at the last count on my spreadsheet that I've got, which is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing, because it's now making me think that I could actually do this. I could get to 366 unique separate distilleries and brands, because there's still a bucket load out there that I haven't got. Mainly American, mainly Irish, but even so, the fact that this potentially could actually happen, to do 366 unique, blows my mind. You know, I knew it was going to be a challenge, and I knew that there was a list that meant that, you know, I could do this, but it was whether I was able to do this, or could actually achieve this. Now I believe that I could. I can, and it's just phenomenal. It really is phenomenal, because of the generosity of people like Andrew and other people out there to buy us von Neubronner in Germany, Luxembourg. He sent me another package. He's mad. He's absolutely mad. He sent me another package with some in there, and he keeps talking about sending me some more as well. You're crazy. You people out there are absolutely crazy and amazing and wonderful, and you are just brilliant people. You're all fantastic, all of you, and every sample I'm having is raised to you, all of you that have donated cash and donated drams, and are getting in touch and saying it's a fantastic idea, Ben, really think it's good, keep going, that sort of thing. Quite a few people now are starting to say, damn, I wish I'd thought of that. And yeah, it's one of those things that I'm quite glad I thought of it, because I would have done exactly the same thing and gone, oh, wish I'd have thought of that. It's hard work, you know. I haven't even hit 100 yet, but it's just been phenomenal. So thank you so much. So anyway, rambling again. That's so unlike me, I know. So yes, the opportunity to have this is very special. So I'll be very interested to see what this is like. And that light peatiness is there. Now this is again very light colour. This is slightly lighter than the Ladyburn was yesterday. Now obviously this is a 5-year-old, so much younger. And the sort of colour that I would expect, probably without any colouring added, that sort of thing. So very light colour. You know, not a Rieslingy. For light whiskies, it's quite easy to then compare them to white wines in terms of colour, because you're getting to that level of lightness where it starts to look like a light Riesling or Gewürz or an oaky Chardonnay, which tend to be a bit darker. Once you start getting into the more heavily sherried, you then, white wine doesn't really go that dark, but it's easier to compare it, because you tend to come across wines more often, and you tend to look at colour of wines more often, that they're more prevalent, and go, oh, actually yes, you know, I can imagine what an oaky Chardonnay looks like, so I can pick that up. So yeah, this is not quite as intense as the Ladyburn was, but again, it's that kind of oak Chardonnay type colour on there, but still quite pale for a whiskey. On the nose, the peat is there, and it's very obviously lightly peated. It comes in there, but it's soft, it's light, it's delicate, it's fresh. There's a bit of sea salt in there as well. What I don't know is what this has been matured in, what the peatiness is in terms of, you know, have they got the peated barley? Is it peated barley that they've got from Islay or anything like that? So difficult to say. Very little information that's on this whatsoever. But it's nice and light and delicate and sweet. But it's that TCP iodine, but it's a soft, sweet TCP iodine. Very pleasant indeed. Now, interestingly, this doesn't actually say the ABV or proof or anything on it whatsoever, which technically is illegal, but back then probably wasn't the case. It does say 100%, but it says it's 100% pure malt Scotch whisky. I think it was 46, 43. I'm going to have to get this out again. But to be honest, trying it straight away, I would say it was 40%, because it's very smooth indeed. The peatiness is there. Why am I bringing up Subway? Dunglass. Learn to spell, Ben. The peatiness is there, but it's extremely soft. It's extremely mellow. There is no burn, even any indication of alcohol on there. 43% ABV. I can't even believe that's 43%. I'd have said that's 40, and probably even less so. There's hardly any feel of alcohol on it at all. A little bit on there, a little bit more on the back of the throat, but it's a really soft, really sweet peat. It's very gentle. It's very, very smooth. It dies quite quickly though. There's not much on the finish, and there's not really a lot else. It's a soft, sweet peat, but nothing else, and it disappears quite quickly. So it's there. What's there is pleasant, very easy to drink, maybe too easy to drink. There's not really a lot of backbone behind it, and it does disappear quite quickly. So it's not really lingering too long. Now it's very, very young, so you know there is the argument as to whether, you know, what would happen with a bit longer in cask. Obviously we'll never know, because that's never going to happen, but I would almost be concerned that actually even longer in cask, if that mellows out even more, there's going to be naff all there, because there isn't that much to start with. But it's very soft for a 5-year-old, really surprisingly so. It's pleasant, there's just not enough to it. It is a nice sweet peatiness. There's a little bit of fire now. I must have just not quite picked it up as I was drinking that on that first mouthful. So there is a little bit of a kick at the back, but it doesn't really lift what flavours are there. The flavours that are there are nice. They disappear quite quickly. They're kind of there and poof, gone. Like Kaiser Soze at the end of Usual Suspects. He's there and then it's gone. There's not a lot to finish off with, and there's very little on the finish. The Ladyburn was lingering for ages, and there was all sorts of flavours going on with that. This already now has disappeared. There is nothing there at all. But what is there, that little burst of flavour that you do get initially, is very, very nice, and I really wish that would just kind of keep on going, because what's there is lovely, really, really good. It just buggers off so quickly that you kind of like, no way, come back, I want you to stay because you taste really nice. It's a shame, but that's what that particular whiskey is. Very, very interesting indeed. Another one that I would never ever have come across if it wasn't for this challenge. So Andrew, thank you very, very much for that. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've got a full-size bottle of the Ladyburn to enjoy, and I hope you enjoyed that Dunglass, because it's very, very pleasant. It is a real shame. It would be if that flavour that's in there to start with carried on and had a longer finish. That would be a phenomenal whiskey. That would be absolutely brilliant. But unfortunately, it just hasn't got the legs. So a shame. Right, I need to do a quick edit, and then I need to upload this Ladyburn tonight. Otherwise, I am behind myself. And I shall see you in the next one. Cheers.